Great. So in this session, I'll try and give you an introduction to the more engaged dynamic product messaging feature. And the goal would be to give you enough confidence in the feature to be able to create campaigns on your own and see results. Great. So before we start, I'll just try and set the expectations right of the feature by asking a simple question of what is DPM. DPM or dynamic product messaging allows marketers to showcase items from their catalogs in their marketing communication based on users' activities. So there are three points to pay attention to here. One is that it allows you to showcase the items from your catalog. So if there is anything that you are as a business promoting on your website, it could be like in your case an e-commerce site, or in some other case a travel company might have hotels or flights, or a hospitality company might have some other kinds of deals. Anything that you're promoting and you typically have a catalog of items, you can use those items in your communication. And the interesting part is that you have now the flexibility to pick out items based on actions that users have performed on those items specifically. To give you an example, uh, if a user has viewed an item on your website, added it to the shopping cart, but for some reason has abandoned the cart and has not completed the transaction, you can now trigger an email to the user at a time of your preference where you can say, hey, you have left these items in your cart. Why don't you go and check this out? Statistically, the alternative, the difference between showing the item on which the user has performed an action versus sending a blank or a generic email, the conversions have been close to 70 to 80% higher when you actually show the item that the user has interacted with, primarily because of the relevance and the context recall that it brings when the user sees the communication. So through MoEngage, you will now be able to pick items on which users have performed activities, build a story around the activity where you showcase the item and other items if you want, and send a timely communication as if you want to target it within 2 hours, send it after 1 day, after 1 week, depending on your preference. You can decide and send the email to the user with the products being showcased. So this is a high level description of what the feature is about. There are many use cases that can be targeted through this. We will try and pick some of those during the session. But the end goal is to combine user activities on one hand with product information on the other hand, and put these two together and send out communication that stitches these two parts together and creates a coherent contextual piece of communication. Sounds good? Great. So the next question is great, how it works. So to get this working, the MoEngage dashboard has introduced a couple of new features that marketers can make use of to complete the setup, which is practically one time as long as you're not bringing more products into the system. New features, I'll get to that later, but it's with this setup, in one iteration of this setup, you will be able to start sending emails with your product information. So the three parts to this process are: one, connecting your catalog, which means uploading the information that is stored about your products. It's typically in the form of product feed. Most popular platforms like Facebook or Google follow this structure where you marketers have a product feed that showcases all their products. You upload the same feed. We follow the Facebook format, so there's no need for you to convert the feeds to a different structure. You use the same feed in the same structure, upload those to MoEngage, and from that point onwards, your journey starts towards creating the product set campaigns. So typically, product feeds are uh, streams of information that are collected in what we call a product catalog. So a product catalog can have one or multiple feeds. Further, each of these feeds can have its own refresh interval, in the sense if you update your product feed every once a day or multiple times a day or once a week, you don't want information inside MoEngage to stay stale or out of sync with what is actually being run on other platforms. So you can have the same update refresh intervals configured in MoEngage and make sure that the feeds that are being used by your campaigns in MoEngage have the latest information. So to give you an overview of how this works in the MoEngage platform, you can see this dashboard. If you see, this is your CV dashboard. On this, you have a left control which is called products. Under this, you will have a product catalog section. When you click on this product catalog section, you come on this page. Now, this page currently lists all the catalogs that you have created. But if you have a fresh catalog is essentially a higher level collection of a type of products that you might want. Different marketers handle their catalogs differently. So it's just an aggregation mechanism, and you can decide how you want to organize a catalog inside MoEngage depending on your preferences. So when you click on the create catalog button, it has a very simple interface which just asks you for a catalog name followed by a category. So the reason why you should select an appropriate category at this stage is because each category has its own specified number of columns that a product feed should have. In the sense, for some categories, some attributes may be compulsory. For some other category, the same attribute could be an optional category. So, for example, availability or a category option may be an important option for an e-commerce product feed, but a category option may not be a very important criteria or optional. It could be an optional criteria for maybe a restaurant. So again, all these are standards, industry standards that are available and followed by other providers also. So there is a list of available feeds, available supported product attributes for each category. It's available on help.moengage.com. After this call, I'll share that link with you as well. So at any point of time, yes, yours is e-commerce items. Yes. So when you go to help, let me see if I can show it to you right away. Yes, this one. So if you notice this page, we have different categories listed here. When you go to e-commerce and items, you will see each field, its maximum size allowed, the data type supported for the field, whether it is mandatory or optional, its description and some other comments. So at any point of time, if you want any understanding of whether this format is correct or not, whether I am following the data types are matching or not, you can always hit this page, and this information will be, you can consult with this page to see whether the format that you're following is correct or not. So coming back, we've covered the creation of catalog and selection of category part. Once you do that, let's select an e-commerce item again and do a submit. You've created a fresh catalog, and now you would see it has category, subcategory as you selected. There are 0 feeds under 0 products, all this information available. So then comes the job of adding product feeds to the catalog. So product feed addition is again a very straightforward process where you select the currency of the feed, and then you specify whether you want to be a one-time manual upload of data or a URL based upload where you can optionally, if you have it as a password protected file, you can give the username and password here, which will be used when hitting the URL to get the feed. If you do not have it as a password protected field, then you can skip these two options. Just give the feed URL, specify the file type at the source, and you can here choose whether you want it to be a scheduled refresh every day at a certain amount of time, or a one-time upload here also. So in day right now on the UI, you see daily and weekly as options. We have built a capability for providing refreshes multiple times within a single day also. So it will be soon displayed on the UI, but we are addressing that on request. We've already done that for you, and we do that for anyone who requests us currently also. So once you add a feed here, you start seeing something like this where you have a catalog which has one feed and another feed you have so many items. You can always add more feeds to the catalog. You can delete a feed, you can view the feed. So if you have added the feed correctly and you click on view the feed, you can then go and see all the items that are part of that feed. So here you can see the stats about the upload and update and all the items. You want details of any one, you can click on this, and then it gives you an overview of uh, what are the other information available for that product. So this is the part that explains how we add a product. So now comes the second part of defining a product. So we have now covered creation of a product catalog, addition of product feeds, and setting of refresh intervals. So we covered these two screens, updating preferences. Yeah. So the second step is mapping of user actions. So we are still in the process of setting up the product set. So as you understood that it's about mapping user activity to a particular product information, you need to have a mapping of user activities also. With that, what I mean is that when you go to the dynamic product sets page, you have something called as user actions. Can you see it? Yeah. So this is the place where different clients have different nomenclature for different events that user performs. So in your case, you probably say product list fetched, but essentially what is happening is content is being viewed. When you say add to cart, your CV does it. CV calls it add to bag. So what we have done is we've tried to standardize this process at least at the more engaged level, so that when somebody, and because the system is built around these standard names, so system, as you will see later, fetches maps activities based on these names, and the mapping between these name and the specific event being passed is what we set at this page. Yes, yes, yes. So if there are multiple events that you use for the same purpose, you can add those here. But in your cases, these are, I don't think they're being used right now. Yes, so we can remove these later. But right now, sorry, please go on. Yes. Yeah, so these are standard events that MoEngage provides out of the box. So some clients choose to use these events for tracking the user activities. Some clients prefer to have their own events to do that. No, in your case, you can always use the fees that you are using for consistency. These are provided as basic out of the box event names in case somebody wants to use them. But the system has no problems with using the specific fields that guys are tracking also. So here what happens is you tell that when a product set is called for an add to cart function, you are supposed to look for the add to bag underscore v3 function and fetch its product ID. So how this is done is you simply go and you set add to bag v3, then you specify the event that you attribute that you want to read for this event, and then you just save it and it's done. So once this part is done, now what you've done is you have uploaded a catalog, populated it with feeds, performed the user action mapping as well. Now you are ready to create a product set. Product set, let me just show you now. Applicable to all feeds, the product sets are created based on catalogs. So what happens is, if you notice on this page, there are two fields. One is a catalog, which contains the product information, and the other is a user action, which we just performed the mapping. So on this page now, a product set is essentially telling the system that from this particular catalog, go fetch all the products on which the user performed these actions. You will have to create a fresh product set. You can then create a new product set. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So now what you've seen is that we've created a product set which contains, which when called upon, it will all result all the products that were on which the user performed added to cart function, which if you remember is mapped to the add to bag v3 event. Okay, and return all the product IDs and then run those product IDs against the product catalog that you specified to find out them in the product fields and then get all the information for each of those product IDs. So just to recap again, all the product IDs on which this action has been performed, it will first fetch first those product IDs. Then for those product IDs, it will go to the catalog, fetch all the relevant information about like title, price, description, availability, all that, and then bring it together in a single set as a response. Exactly, exactly. So now you've seen that we've created a product. So let me just hit back to the same sheet. Okay. So now we've connected the catalog. We have defined the product set. Now is the time to create the campaign. So campaign creation is again a fairly straightforward, basic stuff. Where what you do is, I'll use the example of email campaigns here. In your email campaigns, you can write a simple block like this, where you are calling the product set. First, if you notice here, product set was a name. You're calling a product set, and then if the product set is non-empty, which means if there are products that qualify for that combination of logic of events and attributes, for each of the items in the product set, you want to show the title, the description, the price. This is a very simple template that we have started providing out of the box also. So now if you go to your CV dashboard and this is a Smart Trigger email campaign creation page. On this page, the way you create a normal email campaigns, you specify your if condition and and has not executed. Purchase event. Let me just find out the purchase. Yeah, payment successful. Yeah. Let's say you have payment successful V3. So now you're saying for all users, if user has performed add to bag and has not executed purchase successful 2 hours after the if action, you want the email to be triggered. So now your use case is you are assuming that if somebody has added an item to a cart and not completed the purchase within 2 hours, it seems that the user has abandoned the cart and you want to send them a reminder saying, hey, you've abandoned the items. Please take a look and complete the purchase. So under those conditions, you can go here. And though you have all the flexibility to create the exact template that you want, we have also provided an out-of-box template now, which is view item template. So these are pre-populated with most of the basic stuff that you need for creating a similar campaign. And you select this one. Now, in this block, you can, I'll just show you how this is populated. So you press at the rate and then you have product sets option that will come. Yeah. These are all the product sets. If you notice in this section, we have a catalog that we've got. Okay. So ENG catalog, this is called. For product set.this, if you notice the template says this. So for the sake of simplicity, you can remove this part and this part. And your campaign is pretty much ready to be sent. It will fetch the catalog based on the event, populate the title and everything else, and send the email. So image, title, description, price, a buy now button which is linked to the details page, all that is coming to you out of the box now. And the fallback here is that if any of these items are not returned, you can choose to not send the campaign out. So in case you don't want to send a campaign with, now at this level, in this code, piece of code, it's a very basic Jinja code. Here you have a lot of flexibility about what you want to show and how you want to show. So if you want to, you can, so if you want to choose another attribute here, you can press hash key and it will list all the product attributes here. We already chosen title, description, price. I would say, let's say a price currency also I'll show. So this way, and if you notice this is a fallback that we provide for each attribute in case somebody wants the email to not go in case that attribute is missing. So this way you can create your campaign and then provide the standard specifications for scheduling. Exactly, exactly. So that's about it. That's about how the functionality works. And any questions so far? Yes, 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 yes. Yes. So Jinja is one an open source language, so most of the documentation is available online. In addition to that, we also have our own documentation which highlights the more frequently used functions and syntaxes within the MoEngage context. So I will share this link with you as well. Here we have created basic use how templates language can be used to address the basic frequently used use cases. Mhm. Yes, 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 yes. Exactly. I think if you are able to come up with a solution, that means you already have a good handle of how this whole thing works. So, like you said, if the outgoing email is going to look the same, only difference being that it is picking products from a different catalog. You simply go to the email template, edit the campaign, and you can either you know choose to change it in the text content here, or if you want a little more control and confidence, you can switch to the HTML mode, and all the code is still there. You can change this in the most basic granular format, and all you need to do is point it to a new catalog. That's it, nothing else. Mhm. So see, there are two things. One is that you do have a fallback in the template which says if availability does not return a value, do not send the mail. So for once your items are out of stock and you have made that preference in the email, email will not be sent anyways for that item. Having said that, your feed updates will run, I think, every 4 hours. So any changes in availability will be frequently and I think almost immediately updated on More Engage as it is updated on any other platform. So the feed will get updated every 4 hours for you. The feed will refresh itself to the most latest available copy at the source that you provided. Uh-huh. No, no. If you just want to, if you now want to show size also in the email, all you would need to do is come to the email campaign, edit it, and include the way you've included product details like price, have a product dot size attribute called in the template. So right now you are showing these 4 or 5 items. Whenever you have new items, new attributes being added, You can edit this to include or exclude those attributes. Great. It's a pleasure, Jake. So anytime if you have any confusion, please reach out to Priyanka and we will work through it. And I look forward to you using this feature in the future. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.